All right, hey guys, and welcome to Blood Red Sky. This was one hell of a movie, let me tell you that. So this is a Netflix film. I watched it last month, right? So not too long ago, but this movie came out actually in July. I have no idea why I waited to watch it because it is a pretty cool film. The story, the concept of it, the relationship between mother and child, and the situation that they put them through. Wow, I mean, it's just one hell of a story. It's a really good story. Very nice situation. And the actors did really well. But it is low budget, so they're not the greatest actors. There's not really anyone that you're going to recognize from this cast. I think probably foreign actors may recognize it because I think this is a um, what is this? A German film? Let me check where the director is from. Yeah, it's a German film. So, man, these Germans make some really good movies. I also heard that Germans are good poets, by the way. But I've actually realized that Germans make really good films. And yeah, I mean, kudos to Germany, man. My God, this is one good movie. I really enjoyed it. So keep making more of these because these are awesome. Let me tell you that. So, Blood Red Sky is a horror film about a mother who is actually a vampire, who needs to board a plane to travel to a doctor in America who's supposed to be able to find some sort of cure to help her. And she has a child with her. And ever since she was bitten, she has managed to not drink human blood and only consume animal blood, which she keeps in like a little container and takes it as some sort of medicine. And it gets kind of obvious from like I think very early on in the film that she's not human. And there's one scene where she dies and you're like, so she's dead, right? It's over, right? But then at the same time you think in the back of the mind, but they've built the character so well she can't just die. And then you realize that it all comes together. She's actually a vampire that comes back from being shot to heal and then actually kill everyone in the plane. So she actually tries to defend her child by using her vampire abilities to fight off these sort of the terrorists who are actually hijacking the plane. So the plane is being hijacked by terrorists, and the mother, who's a vampire, is defending her child from the hijackers. But it all goes wrong when the mother is forced to bite onto other people to to kill them and what's not. And those that don't really die from her bites basically turn into other vampires, and they all have their own realization and their own thinking, and they have bloodlust that they cannot control, unlike her. So she has really good self control, and I think that all of that has to do with her sort of maternal. Emotional side, which she's using to protect her child, and as a result, she manages to really control herself and keep things together. But the rest of the people on board can't really do that, and some of the terrorists actually use it to their advantage to sort of take over not just the plane, but I think they really get driven into being an all-out vampire, and they probably get some crazy idea of taking over the world or something like that. And yeah, the graphics are pretty cool, pretty scary. There are times when the plane's actually having lights out and the vampires are all aboard. The horror elements are really nice. The story is really good. The mother and child relationship is really the highlight of this film. And once the mother goes full batshit crazy vampire, I thought that you won't really get to see that emotional relationship between the child and the mother anymore. But we do get to see it because the child actually puts himself in situations to try to want to help his mother when the plane actually, like, they land the plane somewhere. I can't remember where it is, but they actually land the plane in one of the countries in between to try to resolve the terrorist situation. And the what do you call this, people in charge of the terrorist situation don't believe that there are vampires on board, obviously. So they actually rescue the kid, and they try to go on board to try to investigate what's happening, and they all get bitten and they all turn into vampires, and all of a sudden the plane is full of vampires. And then finally the mother has a plan to detonate the plane to kill everyone on board, including herself. And yeah, there's like a boyfriend or something that she sort of meets on the plane. Not really a boyfriend, just a guy who's really nice to them. This guy, yeah, who's really nice to the family, and he barely survives with the kid. And his character as well is super likable, really well done. But yeah, this is a really unique film. I really like it. Vampire film. Yeah. So what? Low budget, man. This is better story than a lot of epic high budget crazy CGI. Like monsters everywhere, Hulk jumping around, Superman flying. I mean, you can do all of that crazy stuff, but if you don't have a good story, I mean, I think this movie is just better than a lot of others. Let me tell you that. So it's not the greatest movie by any means, of course, because once again, as I said, it doesn't have the greatest budget to support it. It doesn't have the greatest actors to do, their job. But I think they did reasonably well, and the makeup is pretty good. Um, Certain logics, yes, lacking a few parts here and there. Like what exactly are the capabilities of the vampires are not very well explained. A lot of it is left to, like for you to just figure out by watching, and sometimes it's not very consistent. Like some of them are stronger, some of them are weaker, and then some of them can take more bullets, some of them can't. Yeah, and all of those shenanigans happen, but they all have a common weakness, which is UV light. And I mean, UV light like is a rather subjective thing as well. uh, you know but whatever. So all of these things combined, uh, I think it is a pretty decent film. So let me pull up the rating for this one. There we go. A 6 out of 10 film. Another 6 out of 10 from me, after the previous one. I think this one definitely deserves it. It is a really good film, something that can be rewatched, something that's Halloween worthy as well. If you have not watched it, you should check it out. Is it very scary? No. Is it very uh, cool or action packed? No. Is it very emotional? No. So as a result, it doesn't really get too many high points for a lot of things. Otherwise, it would have been probably a 7 or 8. But it has all those elements. It has a very creative story of the hijacking and the mother, forced to pull out the trump card of being a vampire to try to stop this entire thing from happening. And I really like that entire twist. And yeah, it's actually more so the relationship of the mother and child, which is what it is. And you do have certain moments you're like, don't do that, don't do that. Those kinds of just clutch moments where you feel for the characters that you've invested so much in. And I like that. I like how they built these people together. As for the violence and gore, I think it is not probably not safe for kids, but definitely cool for teenagers and adults. It's not too violent. It's not too gory. I mean, you have a kid in this film, for God's sake, so it's not too violent, but there is a lot of blood and stuff. But you don't see any organs or any spilling of crazy stuff or whatever. But yeah, you see a lot of blood. So yeah, teenagers, adults probably is fine, but kids, no, no, sorry, keep your kids away from this film. But as for the relationship and those sorts of elements, I think it can be enjoyed mostly by young adults and teenagers. I don't think older people will like this unless they're fans of vampires. Also, the design of vampires in this film are pretty unique, and they're not that powerful or anything. They're just like people who are after blood. They are stronger, they are a little bit faster, but they're not OP or whatever. They're probably like, I think, the weakest of the vampires that I've ever seen in most films. And I like that. I like the humanization of them in some way because it tells you that they're not godlike or anything like that. They do have some form of a disease which people think they can cure, but they probably just haven't figured out a way to stop it. But it causes some insane mutation, which is why we believe that it may have some supernatural causes, which is not really spoken about. There's nothing supernatural about this film in any way, besides the fact that they actually, are, sensitive to UV, but they don't really catch fire like in the vampire films and die or anything like that. So yeah, can't really say for sure. Anyway, that's it for me for this one. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Take care.